Some of these
We get a
things.
confirmation our screens are up and running.
YouTube's live. Facebook will be up in a second. Facebook is live.
All right. Thank you very much. So welcome back, everybody, from the lunch. So we will pick back up continuing where we left off at the nominations for our second vice chair. So with that, then I will. Actually, I'm sorry. We're also waiting for our second speaker. I believe it's Mr. Ron Zimmerman. Has he arrived yet? Let me double check my phone. Check the message. All right, we're good. So until then, now we'll start with our second vice chair, as I mentioned. So I will open the floor to nominations for our second vice chair, political director.
I'd like to nominate Trevor Stepp.
Second. Trevor, do you accept the nomination? Please come to the microphone for your future nominations. All right. Do we have additional nominations for our second vice chair?
Jim Fulmer, Macomb County. I'd like to nominate myself for second vice chair.
Thank you very much. All right.
I accept.
We have a second for nomination.
Second.
Thank you very much. All right. Are there any additional nominations for second vice chair? All right. Hearing none, we will close the nominations and we will go towards the nominating speeches from the candidates or any of their designees for up to 5 minutes each. We'll follow that with questions.
Thank you, Ms. Daly, for the nomination. I'm Trevor Stepp from Livingston County. I'd love to extend my service on the board. I'm currently the 8th district rep on the board, and I've really enjoyed working with Mr. Chatterton. He's a great chair, and I think he and Leah and I would work really well together. We all have a very good working relationship, and I'm pretty excited to help get candidates on the ballot this fall. We've been doing some research to find some of those open slots. I've worked with a couple of you in the audience, and I've really enjoyed that time. Just this year, and I'd really like to continue that, especially moving into 2024. We heard from Mr. Hornberger today, and I think everyone was kind of getting riled up and excited about the bigger elections in the even years. But in the odd years, there still are those local elections where we can get some candidates and get some experience in the party. Working. And I think in the smaller communities, you get to know people and you get your name out there, and that'll really be a good spring platform, in the future for a lot of our candidates. And I think that's really been lacking. So I guess that's all I've got. But if anyone had any questions, we may have opportunity.
We'll come back to answer questions. Mr. Fulmer, Mr. Fulmer, would you have the floor for a minute?
All right. I'm gonna get Dick and look at my phone for a while.
Hi, I'm Jim Fulmer. I've been a member of this party for what year is it? 2023, 21 years now. I first joined while I was still a member of the United States Coast Guard. Because I first joined the Coast Guard because I grew up in the Boy Scouts, but I was also a Christian. And as a Christian, I knew I couldn't join the Army because thou shalt not kill. And the Army killed people. So I thought, well, I'll join the Coast Guard because the Coast Guard doesn't kill people, they save people. And when I was in boot camp, I learned the U.S. Coast Guard, which is by far the smallest branch of the U.S. military, was still the world's 3rd largest Navy. And I thought, what the
fuck are we scared of? I got out of boot camp and I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I'm not, at the time I thought I needed a political solution. And I had been an anti-war Republican because I was raised Christian. And I was told Christians are conservative and conservatives vote Republican. And I knew I couldn't join the Democrats because Democrats killed me. And so I went looking. And I found this really wonky party called the Libertarian Party. At the time, they had a much more radical platform than we do now. Like, it talked about the privatization of roads and the privatization of Lagrange points between here and the moon and how to establish ownership of that free of the government. I was like, these guys are fucking nuts. And then 9/11 happened. And everyone was for war. The Democrats, the Republicans, even the Greens were for war at first. And the only party against it was the Libertarian Party. And I thought, you guys are right on this. Maybe they're right on other crazy fucking shit too. It did take me a little while to read Mary Ruwart and figure out all this stuff. But I've been here ever since. I'm studying to become a registered professional parliamentarian. I am a member of the National Association of Parliamentarians, the mid-meeting unit. I think with all the crap going on right now, it may be beneficial for our group to have someone there. I don't like most of you all. Most of you all probably don't like me because you didn't know me before I got the microphone all fucking day. But, you do what you got to do. And now that my phone is finally loaded here, I will do what I promised to do for my compatriots.
Oh my God. Oh. I moved to censure.
I brought the, I was going to cover my junk, but that was when I was told by Andrew there wouldn't be Wi-Fi here. And, unlike when the time was Mr. Weeks did it, I have a wife, so she might not like them to put up on the internet. So anyways, vote for me anyways. Have a good time and fuck the state. And you know what? They thought audacity was the problem, but it was your only hope.
Thank you for your service, Jim.
All right. That was interesting. So with that, I will open the floor for any additional questions or statements from other delegates. If you'd like to speak on or ask questions of either of our nominees.
Hi, Leah Daly from Oakland. I just wanted to speak on behalf of the nomination for Trevor Stepp. That you guys think I'm here, there, and everywhere, and got my hands in all this stuff. Guess what? So is Trevor. He's almost like the man of me, but a little smarter. So I think it'd be a great political director, and
Thank you.
Connor Nepomuceno, delegate from Oakland County. I'd like to hear from both of the nominees what specific steps they would like to take to recruit and train candidates.
One of the things that I'd like to be more proactive in recruiting candidates and reaching out to communities, prior to, maybe even the people in their towns and don't even know that there's an elections. And so in Livingston County, what we did this January, I contacted the county clerk and figured out what elections are coming up this year. And so we just did an email just recruiting candidates, and I'm going to read that email to you today. This went out to all the people in Livingston County that have ever expressed interest in the Libertarian Party. We need libertarian leaders in Livingston County. Libertarians recognize that the fight against an overreaching, bloated government has only intensified recently. The battlefront is in our communities, the same communities ravaged by the COVID regime, rife with unconstitutional laws. We have a plan, and we need your help. It is time to take back our towns and counties and to ward off the encroaching state and federal governments. It's time to nullify federal power, build freer communities. The Libertarian Party of Michigan is taking proactive steps to recruit candidates. I want to inform you of an opportunity to make a difference in your community and become an elected official. In 2023, the city of Brighton will elect 4 city council members. The top 3 vote earners receive a 4-year term. The 4th receives a 2-year term. In addition, the city of Howell will elect a mayor and a 2-year term, 3 city council members, and 4 city council members to a 4-year term, and 1 board of review member for a 4-year term. We're not just looking for names on the ballot. We are looking for candidates that want to run to win and to be a positive, powerful voice in their communities. We can assist your campaign and provide materials for your campaign. We need to file by April 25th to appear on the November ballot. By running for office, you give liberty a voice and voters a choice. Yours in liberty, Trevor. This is just the one thing I did, as the chair as my affiliate chair, and I think we can, extend this effort. And I also sent this actually to the Straits area. He was supposed to send this out, but I don't know if he did. As far as training goes, I've been on the Run as Libertarian site. I've been doing some of their candidate recruitment training, specifically with the 10th Amendment Center. I did a couple of their seminars and building your brand. So.
Mr. Palmer, would you like to respond to the question? Specific steps of
recruiting and training candidates.
All right, so first of all, this party, at least in this state, has a long history of trying to put as many candidates as we can on the ballot. Been against. When I first joined the party in 2001, so the UPLP, so you don't get to get all the credit. And I was so excited about the party, like I had a chalk, everybody in Marquette saw a chalk sign saying, vote Leonard Schwartz for Supreme Congressman to come speak, our Congress candidate to come speak in Marquette. And like, I don't even know the guy's name now, but I spent weeks and weeks and weeks trying to contact him for his campaign. And finally he got back to me and he's just like, oh, I'm not really running. I just told them they could put my name on the ballot. I'm in Japan. I wasn't already on fire for this party. It would have been enough to kill me. So I'm a big believer that we need fewer candidates that are well-funded, well-supported, and that we can take, instead of having everybody in our party run, we find the people we already have. We don't need to go look into Republicans and Democrats who are mad at Trump and want to switch parties. We have good people here now. We just need to find who among them is willing to take time off of their job, time away from their families, to do this seriously. 180 of us run candidate. Oh, I can't come to your lip job because I'm busy with, talking to grandma about the one thing. Most of our guys don't even bother filling out the League of Women Voters survey. The simplest fucking thing you can do. So I'm not going to recruit more candidates. We're past that time. I want us to have bold messaging with true libertarian positions, because libertarianism is right. It may not be popular. 98% of America voted against freedom 2 years ago. Don't be worried that we have open borders, they might bring their socialist. No, they're already fucking here. And in fact, if they're leaving their socialist country, it's because they don't like it. We need to welcome those folks, And we need to be able to reach out exactly as Mr. Hornberger said. I think he's about as entertaining and charismatic as a bowl of wet salad. So if we can get someone who thinks like Hornberger, but can talk like, hate to say it, Trump, because he doesn't say fucking anything. People fucking love him. Then we will actually have a chance of moving that window. We're not going to win this year. We aren't. We always thought one more election, if we have the right guy, we're going to win. We aren't. But we're going to win hearts and minds. This type of messaging, well funded, within my lifetime, we'll get to the point where it doesn't matter who wins. If we ever get to a point in America where libertarians actually have a chance of frequently winning elections, it'll be because it doesn't matter who wins anymore. Because people are so busy ignoring the government that they won't know who their congressman is. And that is how I really want a revolution in our lifetime. I hope it's not bloody, but if it needs to be, I'll be there.
Do we have any further questions for the nominees? Or anything that anyone else would like to speak in favor of either candidate? All right. Hearing none, I don't know if we have officially done so, close nominations, if I forgot to do that earlier. And we will move, yes, Mr. Roberts.
Yes. Ryan Roberts from the UPLP. Did we get NODA?
Yes, if anyone would like to make a nomination speech for NODA, we would also welcome that before we move to a vote. I believe I don't see anyone that is looking to speak for NODA, but thank you very much for raising the point. And so with that, we will move into our vote. So we'll do this in the same way as we considered for our first vice chair. As our second vice chair, please stand in support. Everyone who is in support of Mr. Jim Fulmer, please stand in support. All right, we have 3 votes for Mr. Fulmer. And one would like to support none of the above, please stand. All right, and we have 0 there. So that does exceed the majority. I'd like to congratulate Mr. Trevor Stepp for all those nominations. And I will start off with one of the members who was previously appointed by the board. If the body doesn't object, I will speak later to his nomination. So I'll open the floor for any additional nominations if anyone else would like to run for the role of treasurer. I'll give a brief statement on behalf of Mr. Black. So Greg lives in Isabella County. He's been involved in the party for a couple of years now. He previously ran for, I believe, a state rep up there last year in 2022. With that, he, for his campaign, fundraised and managed to collect enough donations that he exceeded the reporting waivers and dealt with some of the campaign financing with the state of Michigan. He's also worked, I think, slightly since, I believe, with the FEC before, but don't quote me on. And in addition, he was appointed a month or 2 ago as the treasurer, Mr. Norm Peterson. And if there's anyone else that would like to speak for either Mr. Black or for none of the above, I'll open the floor. All right. With that then, I will bring us to a vote. And similarly to before, we'll start off asking for all those in favor of Mr. Black, please stand. All right, that's a lot. I think you guys are good to sit down, and we will ask those in favor of none of the above. please stand. See one vote for none of the above. That is less than Mr. Black's total, which exceeded a majority. So in absence, I will congratulate Mr. Greg Black for his election to treasurer. All right, so with that, I did not count for Greg, it was overwhelming. So I'll double check one more time, has Mr. Zimmerman arrived at this point from the rank line vote efforts? One moment. All right. He hasn't arrived yet, so we'll keep moving on with our business. So our last item of business on the agenda, absent our speaker, is to caucus by congressional district for a few of our vacant board positions. So stemming from our judicial committee ruling back in December, that created vacancies in District 2, District 6, District 8, District 13, and District 14. So please note that these are the districts from prior to the recent redistricting, as this board term started in 2021 before those were in effect with the state. So for this election, it will be the former positions. So that should be present on everyone's name tags, should designate which one you are for. And with that, the members of 2, 6, 8, 13, and 14, we have set up some tables over in this corner. We would ask if you're a member of one of those districts to please convene around those tables. And within each of those groups, we'll have each of those groups, if anyone is interested to run, that they can seek the nomination within that group and vote for that. Since this is a convention, the members of any of those district caucuses are eligible or are allowed to nominate and vote for someone who does not reside in their district, but they must be nominated and voted for by those members of the district that is interested to run. You may seek another member of the party if you wish to have that member to represent you on the LEC. So,
Quick question,
yes.
if I may. I had a question and Dan answered it, but I just wanted to present it here also, that there are some other vacancies on the board at this time. And if I recall, the conditions as to why we're here do state to fill any vacancies on the board at the time of the convention.
Provision of the petitions is unfortunately a given item of business in that case. So, for example, for this situation, members of those districts need to be made aware that their district representative would be up for election, and that gives them the opportunity to attend today and make an informed decision on whether to attend and do that. So since we did not have those notices provided with the call to the convention, it is not in order to fill those other vacancies today. Thank you for the question. So, all right, if we are all set with that, I would ask everyone to take a look at your name tag. If anyone is looking for a board seat, you may also gather around there and see if any of those groups don't have an intended representative, and you can lobby any of those groups. All right, with that, the main body, we will stand at ease until, we'll call it, we said 30 minutes, but I'm thinking we'll start with maybe 15.
Everyone here is that spooky slot in as a representative.
All right, thanks everybody, we'll be back in a
That's
bit.
correct. That is That's when my uncle, his wife, ran across the street, down the street.
Rhett, are you in, hey Rhett, are you in District 13 in the last, was it 12, okay. Steve wasn't your person? I thought I remembered, what's that? Is that now or was she before? Before I think I think I worked previously. Okay. Oh, Okay, well, 13 next year will be different. So, I'm gonna go, I've been 13 myself, so I'm gonna jump in here. There we go. I'm pretty sure. Valley City and New Day stores will be the kind of yeah. Get on the horn.
Jim Fuller, Macomb County. I'm heading back to the Lansing Convention. I have to give their platform report at 3:00. If anybody wants to show up, more than welcome to. If you guys make it there, I'll buy the beers or first, round of dance at the strip club, whatever you want. And yeah, have a good day.
I'll take up the lap dance later.
All right. Don't forget, James Weeks is coming down.
Who?
James Weeks.
Really Dude, I blocked that motherfucker. On what? James Weeks was the gentleman who took his clothes off. Oh, I love it. He doesn't give a fuck.
Was that?
Our nomination You just voted for her, so it's gotta be that.
It's no There's every style discovered by the that's a primordial aspect. Yeah. It is.
It's getting worse. It's like it's getting worse. Feel free to stand if that makes it easier. Feel free just to stand. Yeah.
What's worse is I'm in my kitchen.
Not now. Not now. Yeah. Okay.
All right, everybody, I think we've completed our district caucuses. If we can get everybody to return to their seats, we'll be able to just wrap up our main business and we'll be done for today. So I will receive the results from some of the districts. We'll go through them and I'll ask her to either come up and present the results, or if anyone wants to, I have a couple of them already here in hand, I can present them, but I'll go through each and offer for each to present their elections. So before we go into that, did you wish to speak, or you just, okay. All right, so the first one up for District 2, is it good if I present your guys' results? All right, so for District 2, I would like to congratulate Mr. All right, and moving on to District 6, we had a confirmation in absence and endorsement by our voter that was here from the district today, that we will have another congratulations for Mr. Larry Henneman, who is resought his position there. He couldn't make it out today, but he let one members know here that he was interested in that spot. So in absence, let's congratulate Mr. Larry Henneman. All right, up next will be District 8. I take it, Mr. Palmasino, you are here to present the results. Do we have a member from District 8 here present to
District 8 has submitted to the secretary that they have elected Mr. Kevin Ellis.
All right, moving on to District 13, which I am a member. We had a meeting and we have elected Mr. Dave Franklin to continue as our representative. All right, and then last but certainly not least, we have District 14. We have a member from District 14 to present the results. It's been reported.
Jeff Patel.
District 14 has reappointed Mr. Jeff Patel.
All right, so with that, that concludes our notice business. I've unfortunately not heard back yet from our guest oh, he's here, excellent. All right, first of all, Mr. Thomasini, do you
I'll make a motion after our speaker. Is that our opportunity?
all right, then, with that, Mr. Ron Zimmerman, we welcome you to the microphone to speak about ranked choice voting. Thank you very much for coming out.
For the invite, I really appreciate it. It's always good to talk to an audience that is always pretty open to ranked choice. So oftentimes I'm going to Republicans with the Dems and they're looking at me like, what is voting? But how many people here are pretty favorable, may not know everything about it, but are pretty favorable with ranked choice? Yeah, that's great. Actually, myself and about 6 other people about 3.5 years ago formed this organization here in Michigan, and one of them was Libertarian from Michigan. So we have quite the spectrum of sort of political perspectives on our leadership team over the years. So what I wanted to do, or just get 3 minutes to talk about today, is what we're doing with Rank My Vote in Michigan right now. We started out we're a C3 and a C4. And we started out in 2020, roughly, with the strategy of going statewide with a ballot petition. So to require ranked choice for all major offices in Michigan, so like the top 4 or 5 state offices, federal, then all your state house, House and Senate. We got up to about 450 volunteers. We had 8 chapters across the state. We were growing really well, but not quite enough to really launch a statewide petition drive to get 500,000 signatures. So we postponed that to 2026. So right now our strategy is to go statewide with a ranked choice voting ballot petition to get the signatures to make it constitutional the ranked choice be used for the major offices, like Maine has, like Alaska has. Some of you may know this. And what we want to do and achieve before then is to pass ranked choice in about 10 to 12 cities across Michigan. So we currently have Ann Arbor and Ferndale. Ann Arbor we passed last year with 72% the community, and we're biting our nails thinking 6 weeks we're just not going to have enough time, and we got 72%. Now, those who know Ann Arbor know that's no great shakes. Ann Arbor is sort of the liberal bastion of, passing anything that sounds progressive, right? But I'll take the win. So we have Ferndale and Ann Arbor now. This year we have 5 cities that are starting. 2 started this week, 100 needed signatures, so we need about 850 more by the end of May. That's when this last year's drive started. It'll start to run out, so they need to finish by the end of May. So then they would be on the ballot. We have Grand Rapids just started. We have Lansing and East Lansing. We started out with just East Lansing, and then we had such a good turnout at our first couple meetings. They're like, well, why don't we just do both? Because we'll be getting Lansing and East Lansing folks at every single thing we go to, so we might as well just do both. And also Royal Oak, which is down at, near Ferndale as well, Royal Oak Park area for those that. So our strategy is, and our thinking is, that in a lot of states are doing this approach, right? Not trying to go statewide like we did originally from the get-go, is they try to pass it in 4, 5, 6 cities and then they go statewide. We think if we can get the momentum that by the time we start going statewide, that we have 10, 11, 12 cities passed, that's a great momentum sign. It's kind of like a great narrative to say, hey, voters are asking for this. They want to implement this. They want more people, more choices in their elections. They want to do this. The cities are voting for it, and the politicians aren't implementing it, right? It's sort of a great sort of narrative to say, almost like a, for those that know voters, not politicians, right? It's sort of a similar sort of angst to say, you know, democracy, people are asking for it, and they won't implement it. That's really all I wanted to say. I wanted to kind of just generate that awareness for everybody that we are doing that. If you are located, or you want to volunteer in general, but certainly if you're located in those communities I mentioned, we could use all the help just to show up at farmers markets and at the legions and so on, just to kind of help explain what ranked choice is and get signatures. It would really be helpful. And I guess just if I can have 1 minute, can I take a question, like just a question or two? Does anybody just want any questions answered about ranked choice? I can answer anything. Go ahead.
I've never even heard of it.
Never even heard of it.
What is it?
There's many ways to explain it, and there's a lot of benefits of it. So the number one thing I always want people to remember about ranked choice is different from how we currently elect, either in primaries or in general elections, is that ranked choice requires 50% of the voters to vote for you to win. That's the real game changer, okay? How it actually works is, you know, if in the first round someone gets 50% or more, it's over. Just like today. It doesn't go any further. Someone got 50% done. But if someone doesn't have 50%, then you see who got the least amount of votes. That candidate statistically can't win in the right. So they get eliminated. You look at all the people that voted for that candidate, who they vote for second, who was their second choice, their vote gets redistributed. Almost like if you were doing a runoff in Georgia. I know this crazy runoff stuff in Georgia, where 6, 7 candidates run and they bring everybody back. They eliminate the 2 because no one got 50%, and bring everybody back to the polls again to have another election. So it automates that. That's kind of what ranked choice does. So you eliminate the bottom candidate and say, well, who would you have voted for second? You redistribute the votes and you say, could someone have 50%? If they don't, you eliminate the next person. And you say, who would they have voted for second? You redistribute the votes. And it continues until some candidate has 50% and wins the election. The power of it, right, and why it's great to get in front of independents, libertarians, Green Party, these disenfranchised. I know I don't want to label anybody who's feeling disenfranchised, but certainly as a libertarian, I'm sure sometimes you feel disenfranchised. I think you're probably having less candidates run every decade. It seems like the number of candidates that are running for third parties or whatever goes down. And I want to, even if I'm not a libertarian, I don't want to see that. I want to see more voices in the race. And what happens in ranked choice, because you know you have that issue when you go to the poll right now. Sometimes libertarians aren't even voting for libertarians anymore. You know, the months leading up to it, they're all like, "I'm voting for libertarian," and then they get a couple of days away, and the tight, t-shirt gets a little tight, and you start thinking, "I'm going to waste my vote." And if I don't vote for this one of the two, blue or the red, then you're going to waste your vote, and the person you hate the most is going to win. So you'll hold your nose and vote for the least, the one you can stand the most, instead of even voting for the libertarian that is probably the most representative of your own beliefs. I know people in here don't do that. You're delegates, right? But a lot of registered libertarians, just look at the numbers between the Trump election in 2016 and 2020. How many libertarian vote in Michigan was cut by a third? Libertarians didn't disappear in Michigan. They're just not even voting for the libertarian candidate. Ranked choice gets rid of that, right? Because now you can walk in and you can say, I'm voting for the libertarian. If the libertarian can't win, where does my vote go? So, if it has to get to that point for someone to get to 50%, who do I vote for second? And the real power of that I tell people isn't that I'm not standing here saying libertarian, all of a sudden all your candidates are going to win, right? Or they're going to win significantly more. But what I will guarantee you, where ranked choice is being implemented across the country, is that A, more libertarians are running, so their voice is in the game. And number 2, even if the R or the D is still going to win in those races, they got to think about, wait a minute, I'm in a race, libertarian, independent, whatever, no one's going to get 50%. Now every candidate kind of has to run and say, okay, well, I need to appeal to a libertarian. Because that libertarian is going to rank. And that libertarian is going to decide the election. The independent, the libertarian, all the third party sort of disenfranchised voters over the years now, they're the ones that are going to determine the election. So now when I run as a candidate, I have to have something in my platform that appeals to you, or appeals to you as a libertarian. Doesn't mean I'm going to vote for everything a libertarian wants to do, but I got to have something in there that appeals to them. And when they start to know that I need their vote to win, that changes how they run. And they're going to have something in there to ensure that there's going to be some other segments, some other disenfranchised segments that are now going to vote for them. Because they're putting something in their platform that appeals to other demographics other than just the 30% of their base in the Republican Party, 30% or 40% of the base in the Democratic Party. And that's what breaks it down. It doesn't get rid of the two-party system long term. There's no guarantee you get rid of it. Probably will always be a primarily two-party system. But you just gotta break what ranked choice does is break down the power they have that all you ever have is two choices. Ranked choice starts to bring more voices back into that game. That's my take. Sorry. Any other just questions about or
Question, if this, because you said you were working on a ballot initiative here in the state of Michigan, correct? So what does this do with straight ticket voting? Does that eliminate that off the ballot at this point?
Well, I think a lot of us would love to get rid of that.
Because I think that really cripples third parties.
I almost didn't vote for Prop 3 in 18 or whatever it was. I liked a lot of the stuff in the voter access thing, but I hated freaking straight ticket. But that's my own personal. But you don't really have to. So the way straight ticket voting works, and many people don't know this, that when you go in and you click the straight ticket, you can go and override anything on the ballot. So the standard by default will vote for the Republican if you vote the Republican ticket. But if you, on a certain election, voted for the Libertarian on this office or voted for the Democrat on this office, it overrides the vote when you actually fill it in. Most people don't know that. And that's how ranked choice would work. Because, on any ballot, they wouldn't all be ranked choice. We're just going to do it for the major offices. All the other offices stay far out. So, yeah, so that's how it works.
Just a quick question. Would none of the above be a ranked choice thing, or is that a separate issue?
None of the above? None of the above?
Yeah.
I feel you. I feel you on none of the above. I'm not sure I've ever been asked that question before. You can still write.
Welcome to the Libertarian.
You can still say I want this candidate.
Check.
Yeah.
Or check Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Or check Donald Duck.
Not the serious voters that we're trying to influence here with this, but yeah, I mean.
Well, that just actually, that's demonstrating, what they're doing is they're demonstrating they're sick and tired of their choices. That's what they're demonstrating.
Yeah, I mean,
Something we need to take seriously as libertarians, because those are the people that we can get to vote for us if we actually spend time being libertarian and speaking libertarian instead of trying to appeal to a Republican.
This is not some liberal. I know a lot of reform efforts kind of get labeled as here's the next liberal progressive, but I'm a 25-year registered Republican. Haven't been for 12 years because it just batshit crazy for me. I just couldn't do it anymore. But it's all across the spectrum. I think our group, we're grassroots. I've been leading this for 3 years. I have never got paid a dime. We are 100% volunteer organization, so you're not beholden to anybody. Don't ever want to be beholden to anybody. Anyway, sorry, you had a.
So I've generally liked everything I've heard in the past and everything with ranked choice voting. We've used it in a couple of our internal parties before, and it's gone well. However, I don't fully understand at the moment, but along the lines of it leads to kind of a race to the middle, just kind of the toe the line candidates or the milk toast candidates that are just kind of least. One of the things I think that's foundational libertarian views is kind of to break out the status quo in that. And one of the criticisms I've heard without having heard it explained well is how with rock the boat approach. Is there something maybe you can speak to either like steelman that initially or say any counter arguments that you have to that point?
Well, first of all, let me answer that point from moderate myself.
Okay.
So there's this sort of milk toast approach or sort of feeling about if you're a moderate, you're just milquetoast, you don't really have strong. I have strong beliefs on everything.
Mhm.
It's just a box. I have strong opinions on every topic, but I think overall I sort of fall somewhere in the middle. So I want to just push back on that.
Sure.
Sort of, feeling about where moderates are. But I will say one of the goals of ranking always. Sorry. I just noticed that I have mixed audience. Sorry about that. I'm talking to you. Sorry about that. Yes, it does moderate, but it's 70% right. 70% decent instead of it's like you're supposed to just vote for one, right? That's why thrown away ballots don't go down with ranked choice. What they call it, a spoiled ballots.
Yep.
Right? It doesn't go down in ranked choice elections. And a big reason is that it's technology. Like it checks it and catches the vast majority of errors that someone can make. Well, like if someone ranks first, third, and fourth and forgets second, the program automatically knows not to kick that out. It just bumps up the third to second. It fixes stuff like that just to make sure that simple things that go wrong get addressed. 85 cities in the U.S. use it. Maine and Alaska now use it. Alaska uses a top 5 approach. I don't know if for those who know a little bit about Alaska, they have open primaries now. They don't have partisan primaries anymore. So they have one big primary. The top 5 vote getters go to the ranked choice general election. So, and there's 65 more cities in the last cycles that have passed it that are in the process of implementing. So this is not like vaporware theory anymore. Like we now are getting good data. We're now seeing cities that are using it for multiple cycles. Number of candidates goes up. Number of diverse candidates goes up. And when I say diverse, I mean gender, racial, political diversity. Right? So it's really achieving. New York City did it for the right. New York City, we're not going to in New York City, and there's 10 city council for the 5 boroughs. It's 51 seats. In the history of New York City, the most positions women ever had is 35%. That's the high watermark. The very first ranked choice election, women now have 50. As an example, let's get to kind of a split voting thing. What would happen every year in New York City, candidates would run. And there's not all women vote for women, but women is a voting demographic, it's a voting bloc. Well, they would split the vote. And then either women would win. That would happen every year in 5, 6, 7 districts, but with ranked choice, that doesn't happen anymore because you don't now have to choose only one woman or the other woman. Now, again, not all women won the ran, but now that split voting doesn't happen. Same in racial demographics in New York City. You have a highly Hispanic community. And oftentimes a Hispanic wouldn't get elected in the Hispanic community. If 2 good Hispanic candidates would be on the ballot, they would split the Hispanic vote and none of them would win. And now you see in New York City that the makeup of one positions mirrors the makeup of the city racially. You can't even tell the difference. Because in a few districts, it doesn't split the vote anymore, and that's the power of ranked choice. When you have to get 50%, it eliminates all that splitting. Sorry, I'm on a pedestal. You gave me a platform. I want to
Some other alternative voting approaches. One I've heard the most about is star voting. I really don't know much about it. Is superior.
So star has, I mean, it's used for other types of selection stuff. That's got a little bit of foothold in Michigan. There's a contingent in Michigan like approval. So what approval is, you go in and you vote for anyone you can stand, basically. So yeah, none of the above is probably an option in that. But
Well.
yeah, you go in and say, okay, if you don't pick your first, second, you don't rank, and that's why it's important. It's probably never be legal. So approval voting, you just say, I could deal with these 3. And then in the end, whoever gets the most votes wins. A couple problems with that. Number one, anywhere it's been implemented, like sometimes some colleges across the country have implemented to elect their president, their board, or whatever. The problem with approval voting is you can manipulate it just so you can plurality. You realize that if you're a candidate, you tell all your constituents, don't vote for anyone but me. Because any vote that you vote in addition to me dilutes my vote, and that's what happens. So after a while, after 2, 3 cycles, anyone that's ever used approval voting ends up being plurality. no one ends up, very few people end up voting more than one person. And number two, it wouldn't pass the one vote. You know, have you heard the sort of like the one person, one vote? Is kind of like underlying some of the, our election system. Ranked choice passes that because in a ranked choice, your vote at any one time is only for one person. With this person until they get eliminated, and then it transfers to someone else, no longer with this one. So that's why it's always passed legal review. That's why Maine allows us to do it because it's passed federal scrutiny. Approval voting won't do that.
Gotcha.
We don't. But if ever, and a city doesn't use it, there's nowhere in the U.S. that uses it to do an election. If it ever was used, we think it would actually be illegal because you're not really specifying who you're voting for. You're voting 3 times for people all equal.
So, part of the big issue that you're trying to, like, we're trying to go through, I know like Rick James White, I think it's a good compromise to actually get there. But it's hard to get past the tribal war that we have, that people go RD no matter what, just because of who it is. And they would go for a walk mile in New York that D over an RD.
The name doesn't even matter anymore, it's a little symbol behind there, yeah.
So the issue that you're kind of bringing up that Rich was going to go through is maybe getting the fact that Republican candidates will have to reach out to more conservatives out and bring parties with Democrats or just vice versa. But wouldn't just removing the R and D out of their names make them just have names kind of do the
You got my vote for that.
I mean, just remove the party affiliation and then you have to vote for the actual name and go through. That would make people actually have a campaign.
That's what every city in Michigan does it except for 3. There's only 3 cities in Michigan that when you vote for the city, leaders. There's only 3 cities that use partisan labels. That's how I personally, I'm not with you. I think it should all be like that. Just what do you stand for? And do I think you're a good leader? And I'll vote for you. Because as far as I'm concerned, the second you put that label on there, I know you're voting. I know it doesn't matter what you say in the campaign. You get elected, you're going to vote how they tell you to vote. And a lot of times that vote isn't even what's best for their constituents. It drives me crazy here in Michigan. Our federal rep goes and votes for something, and I'm like, how is that good for your district? How is that good for your district? But they're voting on the party vote. It drives me crazy. And I was a party member for more than 2 decades, right? But now it's just gotten so tribal that I couldn't even have it. If I didn't agree with something in the Republican Party, they couldn't come at me. I didn't think the Kool-Aid on one thing. I'm like the outcast. I'm the rhino. So anyway, Ron's, I go to therapy for that every once in a while.
Do you have any long-term results from ranked choice? Because I know with Alaska, it was first implemented and people really didn't know what it was, and it kind of blew up in a lot of people's faces. If depending on who you ask, which R or D you ask, but is there anything long-term like, oh, okay, I don't know how to use this. Maybe I should do a little more.
Yeah, so the best one you have is Maine because they've been using it since 16 now. So it's going on. This will be their 4th cycle using it statewide. Look, Trump wins the election. There's no fraud. Trump loses the election. It's fraudulent. Same thing in Alaska.
Yeah. Or
same thing actually in New York. Like there were a lot of liberals in New York that hated us in the election because their liberal didn't win. Right? It's the same thing in Alaska. You just hear a lot of noise. If they would have won the election in ranked choice, fucking great. Right? So your candidate's not always going to win. But what makes it work in Maine, that even if your candidate didn't win, what makes them feel better is that the person that did win got the majority of the vote. Okay, it doesn't take away all the things. Your candidate loses. But that's the reason why Maine has expanded it twice since they implemented it. So when they first approved it, it was for the federal positions, the governor, it was like, I don't know. Expanded, ranked choice. The person with the most votes in the first round ran a negative campaign. No one voted for that person. No other candidate voters voted for that person second or third. They ended up losing in a ranked choice election because they pissed everybody off. They were lying about it, lying about the candidates. So that's changed in Maine culture. They like it now because that same candidate came back, still lost, but at least came back the next time and ran an issue-based campaign. Because when you're not sending out flyers with Hell's Fury in the background, You know, like, don't vote for this person or you're going to hell. Like, this person belongs in, like, you know, the crazy stuff that gets sent out a week or two before the election. Well, if you're not sending that, what are you sending? If you're not sending negative stuff anymore, because the voters are going to reject you for that, then they'll start talking about what they believe in. So in the last 6 years, Maine has seen in those offices being a lot less negative, 100% goes away, but a lot less negative, and focus on the issues. Where do you stand? How will you vote? That's what Maine wants to know. If I put you in this office, are you going to vote for this? Right? And that's what makes them feel better. They feel like they're more responsive to the voter, less negative campaigning, and they feel like, okay, my person didn't win. I know someone didn't win because they got 35% of the base fired up, won with 35% and a whole bunch of money. So that's the other thing that helps in ranked choice. Money doesn't go away, but it reduces the impact of money. Because money just helps you get the base, right? Helps you get your base to win a plurality election. But when you have to get 50%, that loosens the grip of the money holders that want to elect you because they're the business community, or they're the, whatever demographic it might be that has power and money. Ranked choice helps loosen, doesn't get rid of it, but helps loosen the grip. Just because you got the most money doesn't mean you're always going to win. Sorry, that's a lot of preaching for. That's the eyes glazing over. That tells me it's time to wrap it up. I'll be here, so I have a sheet. I'd love for you guys to go crazy on the inbox. So just to keep you on status of what we're doing. One more question. Sorry, go ahead.
Two questions. One of them is, currently, if I understand correctly, there's funding provided to campaign financing, right? And I'm wondering how the ranked choice affects that. Do they use the first, let's say, voting cycle before they rank things in terms of funding, or do they wait till the end?
No, it doesn't really, whatever funding model is in place in your state or in your whatever district, it doesn't really impact that much. That model wouldn't change per se, just because of ranked choice. Now, you might want to change that in a ranked choice model, but there's nothing that ranked choice forces that to really change significantly.
And then the other question, so ranked choice starts out, we say you get 50% of the vote, the end goal. My curiosity is, you're going through all this re-ranking. Is this over this re-ranking statistically moving the possibility of, let's say, a minority candidate? And I'm asking this question because if you look at our system, theoretically, you could have 10 candidates with plus or minus 1%, around 10% each. You could have one only win whatever position you vote.
A little bit more. There's some detail there. You will get someone 50%. I can explain how that works because of the exhaustive ballots. It brings down the numerator, so somebody will always get 50% eventually. Yeah, the whole mathematical thing on Condorcet, that is one of the downsides of ranked choice if you have way too many candidates. And what that means is because you eliminate candidates based on their current vote total, sometimes in 12 people in the election, it's really close. Like this person's getting eliminated. They literally have 2 less votes than this person, right? And it's called mathematical Condorcet, where it's like, well, if you really looked at all those bottom candidates who voted second and third, it would have played out differently if a candidate got eliminated at a different point in time. Yeah. So it's one of the small downsides of ranked choice. But what in ranked choice, what impacts that is that your second and third choice doesn't come into play until you're getting eliminated. That's why ranked choice works so well here, because the people incentivized to rank are the third-party independents. If a Democrat or Republican ranks, it really doesn't matter that much, because usually their candidate is staying in there till the end. So who they voted for second and third doesn't really matter that much. That's the incentive, because the people incentivized to keep their voice in the game to decide the winner are the ones that will rank. And that's what's happened across the country. Republicans are like, well, my folks won't rank. I'm like, okay, don't rank. It probably will come into play anyway, because you're highly likely to be one of the final 2 or 3 things. All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
So there's a newsletter sign up for Rank My Vote up here on the front table. I'm not sure if there's any other ones circulating around, but I'll encourage anyone who's interested to sign up for that. And thank you very much for coming out. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Speaking.
I would like to move to suspend the rules and amend the agenda to add a closing ceremony.
Closing ceremony.
Yes. Traditionally, this was a song.
You're
I
gonna
have
sing
a,
it?
I have a song.
You're gonna sing it?
Yes, I have a song.
I second that.
All right. For suspension of the rules, I think it is
It's 2/3 vote,
not
yes.
debatable. So I don't know if you want to give any more detail to the body before you.
It's a Libertarian Party of Michigan tradition that a member, it was often Will Whitehouse, clearly he's not here for reasons, would sing a song, and I'd like to sing something very personal to me and very personal to the situation of our party.
All right.
If y'all would indulge.
So with that, we will move to a vote. All of those in favor to suspend the rules to allow for this closing ceremony song, please, or let's do a voice vote to start. Everyone in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Hey, we've already saw that.
From the front,
All right.
Can Fuller dance to your song?
whatever you want.
Clearly, there's a lot going on right now, and I've been in a certain place mentally and emotionally, and I'd like to share it with the organization. It's an old English folk song, and if you know the words, please sing along. It's 500 miles. If you hear the train I'm on, you'll know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. I am one, I am two, I am three, I am four. I am 500 miles from my home, away from home, away from home, away from home, away from home. I am 500 miles from my home. Not a shirt on my back, nor a penny to my name. I can't go on like this away, this away, this away, this away, this away. I can't go on this away. If you hear the train I am on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Connor. All right, so With that, I believe that concludes our business today. So if anyone,
Motion to adjourn.
we have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Thank you very much, everybody. It was a great day. In just a few minutes, we will convene a meeting of our newly updated board members. So
I was just gonna say, you guys don't have to go home. You can hang out here for a little bit longer. We're gonna have some tunes and some beers. Feel free to hang out. The
yeah,
XCOM is gonna have a little meeting and then we'll join you.
yeah, we're gonna have a pretty short meeting. Definitely would encourage anyone that's interested to stick around. We got lots of drinks left, I believe, and more drinks over here. Would encourage anyone who wants to discuss future party business, plans for the future, ways forward. Encourage anyone to stick around.
And if anyone's so inclined, as you depart, please clear any trash off the tables and deposit it in the garbage cans. And if you would want to be super helpful, if you could stack the chairs into stacks of 8, that would be helpful. Only the ones in the center.